The movie Good Will Hunting, starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Robin Williams, is an underdog story of a naturally born genius who comes to face his trauma and live a better life. This interpretation is empowering. It also promotes an ideology about American individualism. But what if we can interpret this artifact in a different view? What if we can view it in a way where we learn deep philosophical lessons about growth? In this speech, I will analyze Good Will Hunting as an artifact and how it reinforces an American individualist ideology. I will then propose an alternative interpretation of the film that reframes Will's story to be about emotional intelligence and the power to choose your own identity. What is my artifact? The artifact I am analyzing is the 1997 film Good Will Hunting. It is directed by Gus Van Sant and stars Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Robin Williams. The film follows Will Hunting, the main character, who is a working class young man who has incredible and naturally born genius, but does not understand himself emotionally. Context of this film: Good Will Hunting was released in the 90s, but we all know American culture has valued individual achievement. It has valued talent, overcoming structural barriers, ever since you've heard the words, the American dream. This film is celebrated because of the success story of an exceptional individual, Will Hunting, rising above the background of being a foster child in a poor community. The primary audience that is targeted by this film is a middle-class American audience. This would especially include Americans who value education, intelligence, and professional success. The film also focuses on two older men attempting to mend Will in the story, those being Professor Lambeau and Sean, who is the therapist. Professor Lambeau is attempting to mend Will intellectually by using his genius for proving mathematical proofs. But we come to find out that this is being done selfishly. Sean is attempting to mend Will emotionally through emotional intelligence and consciousness. The ideology portrayed by Good Will Hunting is American individualism. After all, it represents the American dream. A person coming up from under other people and pressures. In the film, Will is framed as having internal struggles like anger and fear of abandonment. The film communicates this ideology through its focus, framing, and especially its ending, but its overall plot as well. The film focuses on Will's growth as he comes to understand himself and frames his issues in a light where it slows or at least is an obstacle to his growth. The plot of the movie ends with Will coming to understand himself and his past. These rhetorical elements portray the idea that Will's success is an individual process and not something that he comes to grow through true emotional understanding. An alternative interpretation reframes Good Will Hunting as a story about emotional intelligence, autonomy, and chosen identity rather than this intellectual genius leading to success. This interpretation is grounded in self-determination theory. Self-determination theory is a psychological and philosophically rooted concept from Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. According to Deci and Ryan's journal, published in 2000, which is called The Self-Determination Theory and the Facilitation of Intrinsic Motivation, Social Development, and Well-Being, says that human fulfillment depends on three factors, those being autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Through these three factors, we can come to learn about ourselves and actively choose how and who we want to be. Will already has his competence. He is the smartest individual in this whole movie, but he lacks autonomy and true relatedness because he's not given in to other relationships that are beyond himself.
You don't know about real loss, because that only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much.
Context for this alternative interpretation: Where viewing this film through a modern lens, it would be more focused on emotional intelligence and mental health. We could reinterpret the film to value emotional well being and purpose over valuing intelligence and success. This interpretation considers stakeholders who were not considered in the original interpretation, and these would include people who may feel doubt about their direction or lost with purpose, for example. Now, in the movie, we get to ask, who is Will going to choose to be, instead of asking, how is Will going to succeed?
I was doing advanced mathematics when I was 18, and it still took me over 20 years to do something worthy of a Fields Medal.
Well, maybe he doesn't want what you want. There's more to life than a fucking Fields Medal.
This is too important, Sean. And it's above personal rivalry.
Wait a minute, Jerry. Let's talk about the boy. Why don't we give him time to figure out what he wants?
This changes the message that is portrayed by the film, because instead of promoting American individualism, it promotes emotional understanding and autonomy of choice. Will's growth is not about using his math skills productively. It is about gaining the emotional freedom to make authentic and conscious choices about who he truly wants to be. This also aligns with an article named The Real Meaning of Success in Life: Beyond Achievements and External Rewards, written by Ashish Panwar. He says that success in life is not just about what you achieve, it's also about who you become in the process. It's about the journey, the learning, the growth, and the impact you make along the way. Success is not a destination, but is a continuous journey of self improvement. If this alternative interpretation were more emphasized in the film, the visual style may change by simply focusing on the therapy sessions and reflections over the emphasis on Will's genius. It also may affect the plot. For example, we all know this very famous scene.
It's not your fault.
I know.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
All right.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean. Not you.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Now, this scene may instead be portrayed as a moment where Will consciously chooses to take control of his life, where his autonomy takes over. He's done being told by other people of what he needs or should be doing, especially with all the genius and potential that he may have. It may be reframed as a scene that's not emotional release, that's so intense as the one that's in this interpretation of the film. In this new version, with this alternative interpretation, we would focus more on that emotional intelligence. It would be way more prominent. To conclude, Good Will Hunting is more than just an underdog come up story about a young genius. It is an ideological artifact. It reinforces ideas about American individualism and success. However, when we view this film, this artifact, through an alternative interpretation of emotional intelligence, of autonomy, and of chosen identity, the film becomes something way more powerful. It is a film about the power to define your own life. With this view in mind, what kind of life will you choose to live? And what will give that life meaning? Thank you.